welcome to DuckCast, episode 57. Today we're going to be talking about Marvel's 57th movie in celebration.
Not at all correct.
I think it's at least... So we saw Infinity War, and we're actually going to do a themed episode, so spoilers, because that's all we're talking about in this. And I might be talking about this movie a fucking lot, because I think after Austin, our good friend Austin, sees it, I'm doing a derailed with him on that, because we talked about it a while ago, so different perspectives, interesting. Yay. Except in that one, you won't have to look at our ugly fucking faces, so...
Speak for yourself.
Do you have anything? Well, I was speaking for myself
Jesus.
because you wouldn't be on it, but...
Yeah. I feel like you're kind of insinuating that, like, I'm also a part of that, though. That group.
No, you're not invited. Just because we're already doing it here. I'd let you do it with us if we weren't already.
I do it with you any day of the week, don't you worry.
Any day of the week, yeah. So I have two kind of funny stories just before we go into this, both related to going to see the movie, but more about actually seeing the movie than the movie itself.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both, well, actually one of them is more of just a note. It's not really a story. We went to an 11 a.m. showing on the second day it was in theaters, because we were just like, yeah, me and Gage both wanted to see it. And I actually started getting anxious to see it. That's never happened with a Marvel movie before. But I got anxious to see it because I heard of how many characters that get killed off. And it's done in a way where I feel a little lied to, but I am convinced that some of them are going to stay dead.
I think we should just, like, make it clear right now. Like, since we already said spoilers, a spoiler episode, we should just, like, talk as if, you know, everyone has seen the movie.
Oh yeah.
Don't leave anything out right now. It sounded like you were getting to that, but like.
If you continue, I know.
Freely,
if you continue to watch, this, like we're gonna feel open to say spoilers at the very beginning. We're not gonna give a warning later in the episode. We're starting now.
Yeah.
So like like you said that only you think that I'll get to that in a minute. I don't want to get too off topic. We went to go see it. I was pretty excited to see it. And then when we get into the theater, it's all kids and their parents. And I was just like, oh boy, there's never been a movie I went to when it was all kids and it's been pleasant. Every single one of these children were very well behaved. I just have to applaud those kids for that. Now there was an adult who applauded whenever a superhero came on screen, but well, you know, whatever. He at least wasn't cheering or anything. There was there was an adult behind us who was very, very excited to be there. I always try to avoid that mob mentality like nighttime because that's when people are cheering. Everyone in the audience is cheering and reacting.
I'm glad you feel that way for your event. For me, like, other than like a group of like 4 to 5 young teenage girls in a row in front of us that like I heard cry during Peter Parker's death. Like, other than that, I didn't hear anyone, which I really wanted. Like when Captain America showed up for the first time, or when Thor and Rocket and Groot appeared in Wakanda, I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. But I didn't do that out loud. But I was expecting other people to. And it was so silent in my theater. It was like, guys.
What time did you see the movie? Because
early in the day, like 2.
Then I think if you want to get an audience reaction, I've seen Avengers.
It was a packed theater too. I mean.
I saw Guardians Volume 2 at night, and I saw Avengers late at night, and that got audience reactions. Whenever you go in the morning, like, I don't know, it's just, I'm happy.
I've been to movies before early in the day, people are like cheering, but this one, I don't know, something was weird. Floridians,
to me, it's like more of like a night event. Like, that's when everyone's getting rowdy, you know? That's when all of the nerds are lining up outside to see the movie. Going in the morning helped us get tickets, because we were able to, the theater was pretty full, but there was still seats available. That just kind of amazed me. But it's because when we went at 11, if we would have went at night, it would have been sold out for sure. But we saw it, so I just wanted to give that note. Like, kids were well behaved, and I appreciate that. And the story, though, is just, again, not really related to the movie. When we were walking into the theater, and we paid for our tickets, like, they said, hey, would you also like to give a small donation to St. Luke's Hospital? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll put in $5. And I like signed this little thing, and if you donate $5 or more, you sign your name on something, and they'll put it on the wall. So like, yeah, okay, cool. And then Gage goes up to buy his ticket next, and they said, you would like to donate any money to St. Luke's? And they just looks at me and says, yes, I'll donate $10.
Oh well, shit.
I don't think Gage would have donated a single dollar if I hadn't donated the $5 first.
10, like right in the face, like.
That just made me laugh so
Yeah.
hard. So yeah. All in all, now actually getting into the movie. As I rated it on my IMDb, I gave it a 7 out of 10, which is higher than most Marvel movies for me. So I liked it. It was good. It was a clusterfuck of characters, and I was wondering how they were going to make it work. Focusing on Thanos, making him the main character, giving him more screen time than any individual character. That was the way to do it.
Yeah.
It was done very well. I've heard a lot of people say, like, refer to the Avengers Infinity War not really as a movie, but more of an event.
Yeah.
That
I was gonna say too, like, you know, I remember hearing some like negative reviews about like, you know, how this isn't a self-contained movie and blah blah blah, and it's like, people have to consider, like, a lot of Marvel movies, in my opinion, or at least this one most of all, like, the Marvel movies are kind of like an episode of a show called Marvel. It's like a TV show, but with a movie quality, everything. It's in 10 years of it, it's like, it's worth to have all these characters again, like a clusterfuck or whatever. Like, it's so, and like I heard, like, from the people that I saw it with, like, it was like a lot of action with it. And it's like, of course, you know, it's 10 years, and it's kind of like, it's a movie for the fans, clearly. If you missed out on stuff, too bad, this is for the fans. And it's like, 10 years building up to all this, it's like seeing some characters fight others and fighting with each other. It's like, it's so worth it. And this is only part 1 of 2. It's great.
I often hate the phrase, it's for the fans, because you can use that for literally anything as a defense. Like, you could say, well, the Smosh movie, it's for the fans, you know? Like,
I don't think
this
it's
is
that.
absolutely...
No.
No, this is absolutely an exception, though. Well, a lot of people say it's for the fans, so they'll defend a shitty movie just because they're fans and they're going to like it no matter what.
And it's not completely turn-offish of the general audience at all, but, like, you know.
Oh yeah, again, like, I think it works perfectly here, though. Like, it's just kind of like a fan service movie, but it's a fan service movie done well. So you told me the night before I saw the movie, me, you, and Brent were in a call, and you said that you think at least 2 of the characters you were pretty sure are going to stay dead.
I disagree about. I disagree about. This connection thing is really freaking me out.
It is.
It's gonna piss me off at some point, I'm sure. But like, Loki, I think, will stay dead. That's who I think.
I wanted to guess.
The one I think, the one I have, that I said might stay dead before, but I'm having second guesses, is Gamora. I feel like, I hear this theory of, like, only the people that got killed off by, you know, turning into dust will come back. And not anyone else that died before, like Vision and Gamora and Loki. Gamora maybe, because, like, I hear that she's signed on for Guardians 3. However, she could be a Vision in Peter's head throughout the 3rd Guardians movie. So, you know, but at the same time, like, there's not more information that I heard. Maybe it was confirmed that she was in the movie as, I don't know. Either way,
here's my thoughts.
Not really much to follow up with that one. That theory.
Loki, my thoughts are Loki and Vision are definitely gone.
Yeah, Vision. I love how we got Loki, like, those 2. I love how this movie in general was just a whole, like, what if scenario kind of thing with a lot of characters, and Vision. Most of all, I feel like Vision should live, but at the same time, like, we did get that first death scene, so it kind of, we saw what would have happened, I guess, but it's still very sad what happened to him and Wanda.
I think if Loki, Vision, and Gamora, if any of them come back, this film immediately loses a lot of its feel of consequence, which was something I loved. And I really like Gamora as a character. I'm sad to see her go, but to me, she was like, because I haven't seen all the Thor movies, was the one that really had weight on me leaving. I know Loki's been a big character in the series, and I know a lot of people really love him. I only know him from Avengers, you know. That's my only reference.
As someone who has seen,
I haven't seen any of the Thor movies.
As someone who has seen Avengers and both Thor movies, I feel like yeah, I think he had a great final scene too. We got that last, you know, for fan service wise, we got that last, you know, we have a Hulk thing. Loki said that woo. He had that great, you know, redemption with the knife and trying to stab Thanos, even though he failed. Like, he tried. He still turned out good in the end, and it came full circle. I feel
I
like.
don't have a ton of problems with this movie at all.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say that I really dislike, it's like I think my only big critique of the film is I really don't like Bruce Banner in this one.
Bruce was pretty Bruce this time around. We usually got to see a lot of. I don't know. What's your complaint about him?
I mean, it's just the fact that his entire dilemma is just building up into another movie rather than. They gave us nothing with him this movie. I feel like you get that quick Hulk scene at the beginning. I mean, also this is just the CGI in this movie was outstanding. It was done extremely well. But when it cuts to this might be seen as nitpicky. I don't think it is. Like when it cuts to him in the suit turning into the Hulk back and forth, the Hulk kind of breaks through for a second. I thought that looked like fucking garbage. It looked terrible. But
they have confirmed that characters that weren't a big deal in this movie will be a big deal in the next one, such as Hulk. I don't know. There's so many characters in this movie, and to highlight so much, and they highlighted enough of Bruce and Hulk in this one. There is something they are potentially.
There is something that they are potentially. I like Bruce Banner at first. The first half of the movie, I enjoyed him, but then the second half, I just it was getting repetitive, and I just wasn't enjoying.
He just had to be there for this movie. He just needed to be there, man. In the Hulkbuster outfit, he was very Bruce Banner too. He played the part well. I felt like.
I'm okay with more focus on Bruce Banner than Hulk. My complaint isn't that the Hulk isn't in enough of the movie. I really don't care about that. Though I will say the trailer shows a shot of the Hulk running with the rest of them, so that was a lot. That was like a fake out.
It's for the general audience. It's whatever.
I guess.
Part 2 though, it's gonna happen. It's not like it's never gonna happen.
That's not my problem. My problem is the rest of his story revolves around him trying to turn into the Hulk, but he can't. That's all you get with Bruce Banner after that. And
what would you have wanted?
You could just have him as himself for a bit, just have him do something else. I don't know. They kind of do, but
what do you mean?
Kind of, but every time it cuts to him, it's like, come on, Hulk, come out, Hulk, no. And what do you mean, no? You big green assholes, just that's it. That's all he does for the second half of the movie, and they cut to it.
He literally killed one of the Black Order as Bruce Banner.
He did, and that was cool, but he just constantly monologuing with himself, and I hated that. Again, it's not because he doesn't turn into the Hulk.
Would you have wanted a lot with him and Natasha Romanoff?
I think that Bruce Banner is an interest character, probably more interesting than the Hulk. I do like what they are potentially building up to, though, because that's the Hulk storyline is one of the few things I'm aware of, because when I was a kid, I was a fan of the Hulk. And I know one of the last, I don't know what canon this is, but in the last comic, it basically ends with him murdering everyone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which obviously they're not going to do in this series of movies, but they do have what the comic kind of shows is that Bruce Banner and the Hulk are different entities. They're not the same person at all, and the comic really shows that. And the comic really shows that the Hulk despises Bruce Banner more than anyone else. And it's really dark. And obviously they can't have him kill it in the Cinematic Universe. They're not going to do that. But I do like the idea of just Hulk resenting Bruce Banner, and there just being this hatred between the two, which it seemed like they're building up to. And I like that. But it's just, it was the one thing in this movie that I felt like I was very unsatisfied with. It was the one thing in the movie where I was like, this is okay. This is only a setup for the next movie. A lot of this, because you can say a lot of people make the argument with the movies a lot, oh, they're not doing anything new, it's just building up the next movie. No, I disagree with that most of the time. This time,
there was so much going on already, though.
I get it, but
and we got a Hulk versus Thanos fight scene already too, and Hulk, you see Hulk's afraid of Thanos, that's why he doesn't want to. It makes sense.
That's not, and I do agree with that, but you could have it.
And it was so backwards from Thor. Wait, did you see Thor Ragnarok?
I explained why I don't like it. Agree.
Did you see Thor Ragnarok?
No.
Okay, in that movie there was a lot of Bruce wanting to come out and Hulk wanting to stay out. So it's very reversed in this movie. So it's kind of interesting.
Again,
their dynamic.
Again, a lack of Bruce, a lack of Hulk isn't even my complaint. But anyway, enough of that. I already said that several times. Yeah. I don't know if I'm cutting out or anything. But
here and there, rarely, but yeah.
let's talk about. You want to just kind of like go for each individual character? I feel like that's the best way to talk about this movie. The
Oh,
story is very hard to explain.
what did you think of
You can just name each character and we'll talk about it.
No, like what did you think of? Well, first of all, Thanos in general. I thought he was like, again,
Thanos was absolutely.
I think he's the best villain they've done so far, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think he is one of the better superhero like movie villains in general. Like a lot of people are saying, you know, obviously like Heath Ledger as the Joker is a very common favorite amongst people, or just
yeah.
I'm talking about like the big dark, you know, the big story arc movie. They're not really considering the animated ones too much. But like I'd put Thanos like pretty close to that. Like I thought Thanos was a really good villain. I felt like they added a really good story of him. I think that Gamora feels like a huge part of the story, and I like that too. Out of all of the characters, of all the heroes, Gamora felt like the most important to me in this story.
Oh yeah.
Because she like weighed so much on Thanos.
I love how, because when I remember that one scene with Nebula, being tortured and right in front of Gamora's face. I was like thinking, oh, don't let Nebula die. I love Karen Gillan. I want to see her again. And like by the end of the movie, I'm like, yes.
Oh, I think she's gonna be a huge character in the next movie.
Love Karen Gillan. She's amazing.
Didn't turn to dust. Wasn't she and Tony Stark the only ones that didn't turn to dust on that planet?
Who else?
I think so. I remember everyone. I think it was just. I think literally everyone else turned to dust. I remember only time I got a.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I think the only time I got a theater reaction in the movie was Thor being impaled, which I mean not Thor, Tony Stark being impaled, and I actually thought they were going to kill him off. Like I was convinced. I don't know why. The only thing is, I figure that these people have been doing these movies for 10 years. Eventually, some of them are going to start leaving, right? But
I'm kind of glad they didn't with any of the main 4 guys yet, like until the last movie for us to really see. Like,
all of the original
I'm happy
Avengers,
with this. I'm very happy with the ending so far.
All of the original Avengers are alive, except we don't have confirmation on Hawkeye. That's it.
Yeah, they mentioned where Captain America mentioned where Ant-Man was, but not Hawkeye yet. Unless if I missed that.
I don't think I was referenced in Infinity War, but
I love that that little Captain Marvel Easter egg at the very end. Oof.
I liked it. I liked it.
I hate how we have to wait until.
I didn't know what that was.
We have to wait until like March of next year though, which is a shame. And like even with that, like speculating like when the next Avengers is coming out, because like I assumed it's like a year or a little over a year, but like if Captain Marvel's coming out in March. Like, it'd have to be end of April like this year, or like somewhere in May. June would be the latest, but I would hate that. I feel like it's got to be April or May for the next Avengers, but I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get a name reveal eventually. They said the reason that they didn't announce the name of the 4th Avengers movie is because the title has a spoiler in it.
I saw something on Instagram, like a theory of like what the name should be. There was like a scene in Infinity War that someone caught, like when Doctor Strange was telling Tony Stark like we're in the end game now, so it might be called Avengers Endgame. That sounds pretty cool in my opinion. So
I don't think that'd be a spoiler though.
Yeah. Was it confirmed that it's a spoiler?
They said that the reason they haven't announced the title of the 4th Avengers movie is because it contains a spoiler in the title.
That was confirmed by Kevin Feige or something.
Someone.
Okay, someone.
I don't know. I don't know the people.
Yeah.
But I do know the Russo brothers, and they put Community cameos in the movie, which is awesome. I'm not even joking. Abed from Community and the Dean from Community have made appearances in Marvel movies. And a couple of the actors from Community have had like pretty big parts, and freaking Captain Marvel was a Community cast member. But she was like a recurring character, not like a main character, but she was in a handful of episodes.
I wonder how like they're gonna use Captain Marvel in the next one, because like she is the one that's like gonna piece everything together. But I don't know much about her powers though. I hear she's like the Superman of Marvel, but can she like change?
She's the strongest character of them all. I'll watch Captain. honestly, I have no interest in Ant-Man versus the Wasp. I like Paul Rudd in the
I
movies, but I
think it's
like him
gonna be
more as
cool. They're getting the second trailer tomorrow. They announced a teaser came out today, like a new trailer. By the time this episode's out, people have already seen it. But like, yeah, that's cool.
I'm yeah, like with the Ant-Man, I like him teaming up with everyone. Like I thought he was pretty funny in Civil War, but like I don't think he's interested enough to follow for a standalone movie.
Mm. Well,
But
this movie I feel like is a good way to like see if the writers can like redeem him a bit for the fans to like get interested in the character at least. So far the first trailer again like way better looking than the first movie in general, and like I don't know, Evangeline Lilly I think her name was as the Wasp. She looks badass, and like the villains. Well, what was that one actress's name from Grease 2, the blonde? Also, the second Batman movie with Michael Keaton. She played Catwoman. What's her name? She's in it as a villain.
You were talking about Thanos. Yeah, Thanos. He was great. I really like it. Really was a powerful scene. Like it was very sad, but like I just think they handled the scene where he threw her off the cliff. Like that was just incredibly well done.
And that scene later on, like with the little girl, the little Gamora, like saying like, was it worth it? In the end, like
what did it cost? And then he says everything. Yeah, that's depressing, all right. And you kind of like understand. The thing I do like about Thanos too is you kind of understand where he's coming from. Yeah. You don't really agree with him, but you get. I wonder
what like. I would
his
assume
motivation is very clear.
Yeah, I would assume like he would still be like trying to fight the Avengers in the second movie, but at the same time, like that scene at the end when he's just sitting looking out at the sunset, like it made me think like, what is he like possibly regretting everything now that he has everything, everything that he's wanted.
I took that scene as him being at peace and kind of being happy with what he did. Yeah, Thanos was great. Absolutely the highlight of the movie. Absolute part that kind of created a story. Because otherwise, you're watching 5 movies cut back and forth. Thanos is kind of like what connects everything together. Because they never come together at the end. I did like the combination of Rocket and Groot, even though their story felt like the most filler like story. They have good chemistry together. And I do really like their appearance, like when they land down on Earth. That was a really cool scene. There's something there was something kind of surreal about seeing like Rocket interact with all the other characters. I think the funniest line in the entire movie is him talking to like Winter Soldier, how much for the arm.
Oh yeah, it's not that.
I'm getting that arm. Like that's the funniest.
For some reason, I loved the Groot and Captain America scene more. Just like I remember when I was watching that, like I just got this like. We already knew before that people like Captain America and Groot were in the same universe, many movies beforehand, but like this moment just like made me like mind blown, like realize like, oh my god, I am Groot, I am Steve Rogers, like holy shit, like that's so good. It's so good. It's like it's such like it's stuff that you knew was coming, but it's like I don't know, it's just really cool. And again, I remember like I've been some people before like the scenes are taken down, like they're on YouTube and whatever, and I would try to catch them as quickly as I could. Like again, that Bucky Barnes and Rocket Raccoon scene, oh so good. And that Thor scene, Thor in Wakanda, like I've watched that so many times now. It's so great. Bring me Thanos, like oh so badass. Thor was like the best in this movie compared to anything else so far in any of the other movies. I feel like Thor like acted like a god this time. Like it was so cool.
Yeah, no, Thor was great in this movie. I think that I really liked Black Panther in this movie, but he seemed very insignificant. I mean, obviously he plays a big role leading this army, and this army is like kind of the climactic fight of the movie. So he's largely involved. It's just not a lot of screen time is dedicated to him personally. Yeah. I still think they put him to good use in this movie. I was surprised they made him fade to dust. I didn't think they would do that. Yeah. I will say, I really didn't think he'd be one of the people they picked. I'm also surprised that like Rocket was the only Guardian that made it to the end.
I remember the only time like I like cried during the movie was like Peter's death. Like it was like a kid like bargaining for his life, and like out of everyone, like they're all adults and everything, but like seeing this kid like being like, I don't want to go, I don't want to die, Tony, like it hurt. I was tearing up during that. Like again, I told you like those
pulled up the
young teenage
heartstrings.
girls, they were like, you heard him crying? I'm like, oh, of course. And no one else in the theater, by the way. It's like so. I don't know.
That I like that was
Dumb.
very depressing. I didn't think that he'd be one of the people to go. Like I think
In the trailer, you saw him on his
that
back,
was kind
like
of like the,
talking to Tony,
that
but
was
I don't know.
that was kind of like the final, like that was just kind of like the final bullet of the movie. You know, like you see all these people fading away, and I just don't think anyone expected that they were going to do it to him. That's like it just makes because everyone says this is like the darkest Marvel film, which from what I saw it absolutely is, and I just think that made it like so much worse because they kill
kill a
off
kid,
a
yeah.
kid. They kill off a kid main character who just got introduced into the series.
Yeah.
They
kill a teenage girl too.
And honestly, he's I mean, you know, like mine's not the most notable character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That'd probably be Captain America or Iron Man, but like I'd say Tony Stark at this point. Everyone calls Steve Rogers Captain America and Iron Man Tony Stark because he's Tony Stark more often than he is Iron Man. But I think Spider-Man, like when you look at the Marvel comics as a whole, he's probably the most iconic character in the franchise. So yeah, there's just something very depressing seeing him go with it, and obviously. Like everyone knows this, everyone's acknowledged it. Every single character that turns to dust is coming back. Even the kids in the movie theater were saying that at the end of it. Like no one actually is convinced they're gone. No one's actually convinced they're dead. But
my sister thought that when the movie ended. She's like, "But I want another Spider-Man movie." I'm like, "How do I like tell her like if it's been confirmed there's another Spider-Man? Don't you worry."
Already,
like, oh my god.
And the filmmakers are self-aware enough. Yeah, so we talked about Thanos and Gamora. Like Gamora, I love Gamora's character a lot. I always thought she was a good character, but I hope she doesn't come back just because I feel like that was so much weight was added to this movie because of her death and how they handled it. And like it's a good conclusion to her story. And if you have her in the third Guardians movie, I do hope it's kind of like a movie about them trying to like move on, kind of recover because that'd be something they haven't done yet. At least I think. I actually don't know if that's true. I haven't seen them all.
Even still, even if it is her coming back, like again, we have seen like the Soul Stone could possibly, not confirm. I feel like the Soul Stone could like bring people back if like bargained with another life.
I do think,
which I feel like is what they might do to bring everyone back. But again, like half of the universe is now gone, so it's like, what kind of thing can they offer for that?
My prediction is
anything can happen, honestly. Like with this movie, I feel like anything, but I feel like certain characters, like just again Loki, I feel like he ended it. His ending was right. It felt.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen the Thor movies. I understand what happens in them. I'm like, I didn't find Infinity War hard to follow even remotely. Like, I understood everything happening despite not seeing all of them, and I've seen a good chunk of them, you know. But like, yeah, I think that Loki is gone for good. I think that Vision is gone for good, and I think Gamora is probably going to come back, but I don't want her to.
Vision, I don't know about though. I hope.
We'll see.
I don't know.
I hope he's dead.
Like, what will happen to Wanda now? Like, ugh. How is she? Honestly, she's just gonna have to die then.
Wanda and Vision are the least. They're the worst characters. You know, like they're the least.
But you want to see them together. That's
Not
the
really.
whole point.
I don't give a shit.
You notice how they changed her accent, by the way, in this movie?
Vision had I did. Vision had a charm to him, and I don't hate Wanda as the character. It's just they got nothing. I don't like. They're very uninteresting. I don't know. Sorry.
I feel like they're characters that were like brought into this world, with no power over it, and like they just have to like, they just kind of get like knocked into situations. I feel like. And like it's like as if they're civilians, and it's like that's the reason. Like I feel like they should have a better ending because they're so innocent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
I feel like
it's just to take the weight off the movie. If Loki is the only character that stays dead, then especially since it happens at the very beginning of the movie, I really do feel like Infinity War loses almost all consequence. And I like that. I like the idea of them being able to overcome this, but I don't like the idea of there not being any wound for what they went through, because I just feel like that makes it just takes away from these movies. There's like, if you rewatch Infinity War, the scene where Gamora dies isn't going to mean anything anymore.
I also think that like in an overarching story for each character, like, is it too cruel for certain characters to stay dead? Like again, Vision, like I'm still very I don't know about. I feel like it might be a little too cruel. But again,
I don't
I
even
if
care
they keep him dead,
that
they
they're
keep him
used.
dead. But like we'll see.
I could care less because I don't like. I mean, I don't hate Vision. There's nothing unlikable about him, but he's just.
He's so innocent.
There,
I feel like
there's characters that came into the series without their own movies, but were still able to kind of like hold up and stay, be pretty unique characters. Like Black Widow, obviously, although she's in a ton of the movies, but even characters like Spider-Man's friend Ned. Or granted, he's not actually one of the fighters or anything, so maybe I should think of a better example. The Winter Soldier is a good character. He's never had his own movie. I don't know. There's just all of the Guardians of the Galaxy. There's some good standalone characters.
Yes, they are two of the more unimportant ones, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. Just again, like I feel like they're like
if you like them,
one
that's
of
fine.
the many that just to
invested.
say. It's like I could care less about them too. I completely agree, but it's like I don't know. They're so worth saving. I don't know. They're so innocent. But if Wanda dies, it would kind of work out in the end because then they're both together in another whatever. But yeah.
I hated Age of Ultron.
That's great. Good to hear.
I thought it was a terrible movie. Infinity War was like such an the biggest problem with Age of Ultron is that every single character it introduces is in that movie. Like they don't have any new characters thrown. And Infinity War has like 80 new characters to throw, and it's like I know I'm exaggerating, but like there's a significant difference between the additions in Age of Ultron and Infinity War.
You know what I noticed too? Like I was thinking about like that first scene in Age of Ultron. Like a lot of people complain about with that first scene with a lot of the characters looking very CGI and bouncy when you see like Captain America or Hulk like doing whatever, and like I've noticed like ever since then over the years like they've definitely used more actors in front of green screens more so than CGI. Especially I've noticed it with this movie, like a lot of the like Thor coming down in Wakanda or something like that. I don't or if that's even a good example.
You know what I noticed?
Just like you don't see like a CGI him bounce down on the ground or something. It's like it's him. It's the actor in front of a green screen, and it looks better.
What I've noticed is that almost every movie in Phase 2, with maybe the exception of the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, had a very pale look to all of them. Like Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, they all had like a lot of use of like it just when I describe the colors, it's like dark blue and gray. Like that's the best way I can describe those movies. They were very dull with how they were shot, how the colors were. And then Phase 3 happened, and you get Thor. I've seen a lot of these. I haven't seen, but I think I've seen most of Phase 3. But I've seen a lot of previews and what the color grading looks like. Black Panther, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 especially.
Civil War,
Thor Ragnarok. They're all very colorful films. Infinity War was a very colorful movie. It's like Phase 3 has definitely gotten the visuals down the best. And obviously, you can say they're improving as they're going on with the visuals and they're able to put more money into it. But like, it's just, I just felt like felt like a lot of these two movies got really dull with its use of color. And then Phase 3 happened, and it's just major improvement. Just look back at those movies and tell me if you agree. I don't know.
I do, yeah. Civil War, I feel like at times like reverted a bit back to that dull look, but
yeah, for sure. A
lot of people complain about that airport scenes too, like how that looked.
Yeah, I think the most colorful thing in Civil War was Spider-Man's costume. You know, but I think color, that's the only thing that stands out.
I thought the way that they introduced the Iron Spider suit in this movie was very well done. Like it happened pretty quick into the movie too, and it happened at a great time. It wasn't just cause here's a new suit. It was like, okay, he's going to space. How is he going to breathe? Good idea. Let's get him in the spider suit now with the arms and everything. It was really good.
We won't talk about every individual character. Spider-Man and Tony Stark. How'd you like them in this?
Liked them good. I liked their chemistry. Like always, very good. I wish Doctor Strange and Spider-Man interacted more, but that's my only complaint. But yeah,
I watched someone online who criticizes like Tony Stark and Spider-Man interactions a lot, saying like all it is like, oh, you're just a kid. You need to. You can't be an event. You can't be a superhero. I
Guess
disagree.
what? That's what it was like in the comics. So deal with it. Like it's a good adaptation.
But like not only that, but like I just disagree. I don't think that's all their chemistry is. I think there's a lot of chemistry. Like just fighting in the city when Spider-Man says like, "Hey, what are we fighting today, Mr. Stark?" and Tony tells him, like it's.
I feel like there's a lot to live for when they're both when they know each other is alive. Like the fact that Peter died at the end of this one, like Tony feels like he doesn't have a lot of family other than like Pepper Potts.
Oh yeah.
Peter was.
It's also very understandable that he doesn't want to be responsible for this kid going up into space and dying.
Yeah, I think he kind of prom stamp May too. I feel like so that's another burden, but yeah.
Didn't see Doctor Strange, but kind of want to because I really like his character in this movie.
The visual effects in that movie, like just a lot of CGI, but like so good. It like made your mind go. There's like a scene like a character goes inside an eye and then another eye just keeps going infinitely, and it's like, oh, that's so cool.
He had a couple of trippy visuals in this movie. There weren't a lot, but
with the arms. Doctor Strange versus Thanos was like one of the best fights in the movie.
Oh, it was cool. It was really cool. It felt very unique. It felt like its own thing. The action in this movie was fun and like pretty much nonstop. There wasn't really a single, because even the Marvel movies I like have the boring parts. Like even Civil War had tons of boring scenes. I felt like, and then it just got to like when it like started to get good, it started to get really good.
Each character used their traits really well too. Like even like War Machine. Like I feel like a lot of the other movies he was in, like he didn't really like feel like a war machine. And then that one scene where he's like throwing nukes down at the aliens. Yeah. If you remember that scene, like that was. He's a war machine. Like it worked. It's like Thor acting like a god in this movie. Like each character showed their characteristics so well in the fight scenes. I feel like.
I don't think there's a single scene in Infinity War that I would say cut. Like I just think all of it was fun. Like even home movies I liked, like Homecoming and Guardians Volume 2 had stuff I'd say you should cut out of there. Like especially every fucking like Star-Lord and Gamora sitcom comparison scene in Guardians 2. Like I could have done without all of that. But like
that scene, by the way, what'd you think of that scene when Peter finds out that Gamora's dead, like talking to Thanos right at his face? Like
it was done well. Chris Pratt's performance there I felt was done very well.
I agree, he messed it up. He messed up the whole plan. He could have saved the day, but nope.
He fucked up things really badly, and I don't think it's justified. I do think it's a very stupid and unlikable character trait, but I was skeptical about it. I understand it's a shitty situation, but he understood the weight of what was going on, and
it helped move the story forward a lot better, though. So I'll give it props.
Yeah,
for that.
I didn't.
It would have sucked so much. Oh, they got the gauntlet. Good. End of the day, like.
And then just the credits go
Spider-Man has the gauntlet. He just kills everyone. I guess I don't know. He's a kid.
Iron Man has the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Me and my friend were making comments on Facebook about, but of course the movie just came out, so we have to like give no context or make up fake spoilers. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about how Spider-Man's friend Ned ends up saving the day at the end, but then he grabs the gauntlet and snaps.
He drives the bus over to space. Yeah.
No, the Stan Lee cameo was pretty funny.
I'm glad they got that out of the way pretty early on too. Like again, like just they got a lot of the stuff out. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Cap appeared later than I thought he would, but like once he appeared, like that and the Thor scene again, like the introductions were so good with the music and.
Oh, it's a good scene, yeah.
Oh god damn.
I think opening the way they opened it was great too. Like just immediately with Thanos, Thor, Hulk, and Loki, like that was great.
We didn't. Even though they didn't show the characters, like, there could be a scene right before where they escape pods. I know you didn't see Thor Ragnarok, but like, that black actress who played Valkyrie in Thor Ragnarok, she could either be dead now or still alive. Like, they confirm all the other civilians of Asgard like are dead, but like, who knows who else might have been alive? I don't know.
Oh, I gotta use the bathroom real bit. I'm gonna go. Like I'm trying to hold it in, but I so either cut the show here or just talk to the people for a bit.
I'll cut it here.
So Captain America, Black Widow, Falcon. I feel like they had. I'm not complaining about this because really,
they were a lot smaller, but
They had the least significant story. Mm-hmm. Like there was really nothing. They showed up and they fought. That's pretty much what their role was. But that's fine. That's fine.
I feel like
Like
we're
even like
forgetting
Vision
about
and
some
Wanda.
characters, but like, yeah, maybe we got through them all.
Well, I know, like the Guardians of the Galaxy obviously were a big part of it.
I feel like the Russo brothers did a good job of like, just capturing the Guardians' wit and comedic value, I guess, little things like
Yeah.
Mantis jumping when they arrived on that planet, like, oh, no gravity, like it was little things like that. It was nice, and just seeing Tony Stark's reactions to everything. Tony Stark of all people, who's very sarcastic and jokey, also like just seeing another side of comedy from other people that think they're hot stuff too. It's like it's refreshing to see.
I have to admit, aside like when Rocket and Groot left to go Thor, I felt like they were pretty funny. I have to say the other four Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously Gamora left and became a more significant.
Not saying they're
character.
hysterical. I'm not saying that either, but yeah.
I think Star-Lord, Mantis, and Drax were incredibly unfunny throughout the entire movie.
There was that one scene I felt like dragged on too long, when Drax is like watching Gamora and Peter kiss, and like they drag that something like, oh, if I stay still, like I'm invisible, like that, and then Mantis like, oh hey Drax, and he's like, oh no, that went on for like how long, like half
they could have ended. They could have ended that with them saying like, how long did you stand there? About an hour.
Yeah, no,
that would have been fine. But like like everyone in the theater was cracking up at every single thing Drax said. So people like it. That's okay.
That one line though, the wise Gamora line was pretty great. I hear that memed a lot.
I disagree with that, but
it was cute.
Drax, I really liked Drax in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. In the second one, I thought he was too self-aware and he became very irritating to me. This one, he was very irritating too, but he does have two redeeming moments in the movie to me. One is when he's trying to go after Thanos, because it's just that anger from the first movie comes back, and I thought that was cool. And at the ending, something that a friend of mine pointed out, saw it, I agree, it's just kind of his realization when Mantis goes and he kind of processes what's happening to him, and yeah, that part was done well. Drax was a great character in the first Guardians film. I just feel like I hate how often he laughs in Guardians 2, and I hate that he's like the humor from his character I felt came from how ignorant and stupid he was, but he's also like this very angry and violent person. And then the second one, he's just a jokester, and he's self-aware of everything going on, and his comedy just comes from, there's a little bit of oblivious humor still, but most of his comedy was just him laughing at the misfortune of others, completely aware of the situation.
I feel like that characteristic of him is fine personally, like him thinking whatever he thinks is funny. I don't feel like that's wrong per se. I feel like if he's the one trying to make jokes or whatever, like you said, like that could be a bit weird. But
I felt like at the beginning of Guardians 2, when he gets the right idea to jump into the monster and attack from there, that felt very much like his character, and I thought that was funny. But then I don't know, after that, I wasn't crazy for the comedy of him, but I guess that's just personal preference, not really anyone. Clearly people love Drax, like people just laugh at every little thing he said in this movie. So like, hey, if that's your type of humor, all the power to you. But
he's pretty committed.
What are characters? There's a lot of characters in this movie. What else is there? Because I mean, we talked about Black Panther.
I feel like Groot, even though like most of the movie he was playing that video game, like when it finally came time that he needed to help out, like he made the most powerful weapon in the universe. Like he like made the initiative, and then after that he didn't go back to the game. He took part in the final battle. Like he did good.
That was I think Groot played his part. I think Groot played a very appropriate part too. Because there's so many characters in this movie. You got to give Groot a small part, but they gave him his place in the movie, and it was well done.
But then he got what he deserved and died like he should have. No.
He died. He died because of those video games. He would have lived if.
Yeah. If you just had listened once, turn off the damn game. Let me just turn off my.
I'd say when I think of the.
What?
What are you doing?
I'm turning off the blinds.
Are you
closing the blinds? Whatever the grammar is.
When I think of when I think of the least significant characters in the movie, again, not a complaint, just acknowledging when characters aren't a big part. I'd say Mantis probably felt like the most underplayed character. She wasn't really used for anything. Obviously, Falcon wasn't too big, but really he didn't need to be big. He was kind of as big as Captain America and Black Widow, honestly.
Actually, Mantis did help, if the plan had worked, she did help to, contain Thanos at that one point. without
Yeah,
her.
I mean, all of them are doing something. It just
Yeah.
feels like she wouldn't be in like I
For
don't know.
like marketing wise, like she's just one of many other small characters that aren't as
Yeah,
important to help build the roster and make it seem very important in like a big army going up against an even
she
bigger
felt like
threat. Like it's great.
she felt like she lacked her moment. You know,
Mm.
she was always like doing stuff in a group, and that's fine. Again, not
I
a
feel
complaint.
like
I
when
feel
her
like
character
every
was announced in the second Guardians movie, it was pretty clear that she wasn't gonna have
yeah,
too much going for her.
and again,
I feel like there's a complaint like you could argue like it would be nice to get something out of her. I agree, but at the same time, it's
I'm
just
I'm not
Mantis.
even
I don't know.
complaining.
Yeah,
I'm more acknowledging Mantis isn't like a character I hate or
let's
love.
just get her her own movie. Why not?
She
We'll get more of her
was
out of her then.
and to me she was annoying at times in Guardians Volume 2, but for the most part I like saw the value of her character and she was fine.
Mm.
Like she was mainly there to like deliver more comedy from Drax. That's about it. But there were a few moments where she did something all right, or she didn't really bother me. In this movie, she was fine too.
I wonder how much Gwyneth Paltrow got paid for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how much is even going to be in the next one. I heard that they're giving her an action scene, which is kind of cool to hear. So.
What's the actor's name for Bruce Banner? It's Mark Ruffalo or
Mm-hmm.
something. I'm saying his last name wrong.
No, it's right.
Did I
Mark
say
Ruffalo.
Okay. He spoiled Infinity War in an interview where he says that I was just watching. He's like gotten in trouble a bunch of times for spoilers.
Him and Tom Holland apparently, but I haven't heard anything about
Tom Holland has too. Tom Holland has too, but he accidentally live streamed the first 12 minutes.
Okay, sorry.
What?
Phone. You didn't hear that?
No.
Oh,
And he Mark Ruffalo apparently accidentally live streamed the first 12 minutes of Thor Ragnarok at like the premiere.
Yeah.
And like it's a black screen, you can only hear the audio, but like someone came in and said like, turn your phone off right now. You're live streaming this. Like
I feel like that's great. I feel like he's just really cool though. He's such a fan though.
Oh no, it's funny.
It's great.
No, it's funny. Yeah. I like it. And then the other one is just him saying like, there's an interview where like people are saying, you think this one was bad. Wait until the next one. And he almost says half of the people died. He's like, everybody dies. Like he stops himself from saying half and then just says everybody dies. And the person next to him, the person next to him is just so fed up.
Some people like assume like or like theorize that like that was on purpose. Like Marvel told him to do that, but that's who knows. You'd like to believe it's real because if it's real, then it's even better.
It could be fake just because like, they asked them to edit it out. If it wasn't live television, they could, if it bothered Marvel owned by Disney that much, they could have probably done something to get rid of that. So there's some weight to that theory, I'd say. Because I don't think anyone would want Marvel or Disney. So anyway.
I thought the Iron Man, just like fan service stuff mostly, like the Iron Man suit introduction was pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nano ice and everything. Oh.
Just reminds
me
of the
main characters, they just had the best introductions.
That just reminded me of the skit from SNL called Laser Cats. You ever see those?
No.
There's Laser Cats 3 where he was done using laser cats, but then at the very end of the movie, Texas, hey, guess what? I just started using laser cats again. Then he pulled the cat. That was just like he gave up being Iron Man, but guess what? I just started being Iron Man again. I don't know. That's all I could think about.
I'd like it if, like, at the end of all of this,
you got that reference.
No, I didn't.
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, I thought you were. You cut out, I guess. I don't know. Fuck you. Listen, if Thanos at the end of Avengers 4 wakes up in his bed, his comfy little bed next to his wife, and been like, "Oh my God, honey, I just had the wildest dream," I would love it, wouldn't you?
It's Homer. It's Homer.
Homer and Thanos.
No, it's Homer and Marge. Like Homer wakes up, says, "Oh, honey, I had the weirdest dream."
Homer was
You know,
Thanos.
people say that Thanos looks like Homer Simpson.
Oh, okay.
Have you not seen the photoshops? There's like a
No.
lot of them.
No.
People call him Purple Homer Simpson or Purple Shrek, but he looks more like Homer than Shrek.
Okay. Okay.
There's a picture I saw on Twitter today, which showed Shrek turning into dust and it said like a caption saying, "Donkey, I don't feel so good." I'll send that to you.
There
so you
should
can
be
put it
so
on.
many characters they should do memes with that though, like Buzz Lightyear and like Woody and everyone. Just
I've seen.
be great.
Memes. There was like another one I saw, but I forget exactly what it was.
Oh my god, we should talk about like briefly if you want to, like, you know, when the ending did happen in the movie, like how once it cut to the credits, it was just very depressing music along with just black background and white names. Like, oh my god, it was sad.
Yeah, no style to credits all.
Compared to all the other endings where usually you would get, like, we only got one post-credit scene because of this, and it was like, it was incredible.
What's
incredibly
Nick
surprising.
Fury? I was trying to think of his name, and then Nick Fury goes at the end, very end.
Oh, we're seeing him in Captain Marvel, so that's cool. Younger. There's been some behind-the-scenes pictures. He looks younger with all the makeup and everything. His hair. He's gotten fatter too. So this is fat Nick Fury. Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
Is there any other characters we're leaving out right now?
Oh man.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think
Ant-Man was there. You just didn't see him.
I kept thinking about that in the movie. Like, yeah, Ant-Man's here. He's just out of sight, and no one really talks about Ant-Man that much.
I wonder because like Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm sure takes place before Infinity War. So like, yeah. Where was he? Even though they said, but I forgot what they said.
Someone
a remote resort or something. I don't know.
It is kind of cool. Like I feel like I'm a little ashamed to admit where I heard this. And what I'm copying it from right now because it was Doug Walker's video. I didn't watch the whole thing. I kind of skimmed through it.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's leaving Channel Awesome like people said they thought he was.
Yeah, I check every now and then those comments. They were talking about their Doug and Rob's
a lot of
thing they did.
and I mean, I'm like, it's bad. Like he should acknowledge this, and I don't think he's going to.
I thought like a lot of the videos he was uploading were just backlog stuff until like the sibling rivalry that got uploaded. I'm like, okay,
like the 3 nostalgia critics, like people were saying like, yeah, he has like 2 or 3 more he's gonna upload, then he's gone. And nope.
I read a comment like they're just like brooming everything under a rug at this point, if that's even the saying, I forget, but like, yeah.
I don't know how that'll work for them.
If they're still uploading on the Channel Awesome website after Doug already announced that he was leaving, I don't know, it's weird.
But anywho's, we'll see.
Anyway. What were you gonna say though?
It would have depended, like the whole like upload nostalgia critic things, and that if that was actually Mike McCod's rights.
No. What were you gonna say? Like quoting Doug Walker, you were gonna say.
But he said in his review, he mentioned, it's a good point. I just wanted to point it out. Is that he mentioned that like the Bruce one good thing with Bruce Banner, again, I liked him during the staff, is that he kind of does come in and he's kind of like the context enabler. Like he comes in and people who didn't watch the last couple movies, he's a good way for it to be re-explained and recapped because he was missing for so many of them. So he's kind of like a good recap character. They're able to kind of put it in there without forcing it. Because Bruce Banner was gone for so many movies, him and Thor were.
You know what makes me wonder? Like, when Iron Man gave Hulk, Bruce Banner, like the phone for Captain America's number, like later on you see him walking to the room that Captain America and War Machine are in, but that was because like he called up War Machine, not Cap. Like it looked like Cap was seeing him for the first time. He didn't know he was gonna come, so it makes me wonder if he had Cap's number. How did he get in contact with War Machine if he only had Cap's number?
No, it was on Tony Stark's phone. He could have gone for contacts.
There was only one contact though on the phone.
That was
the phone specifically for Captain America.
I don't think that's true. That contact was the only one.
Said contacts. There was Cap, and then there was no one else underneath.
I think that's after the name was already selected, but I guess we'd have to go back and see that again. I seriously doubt that.
I don't know.
I think it's funny that Tony Stark has a flip phone.
Again, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the phone's just to contact him. That's what I'm saying. Tony Stark wouldn't have a flip phone, you know?
We'd have to watch that again, because I think I remember him contacts when he opened his phone up, but I might be remembering it wrong. I'll just have to. I'm gonna go see the movie again tomorrow just to check.
I want to see that movie again and again. Can't wait till it's on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to the theater to see it again, but I'll probably check it out a second time. I had fun.
I love
I'd like to watch...
I love how they got this. I love how they used Peter Dinklage in this movie. I knew he was in it, but I didn't know what character he was going to play.
I guess.
Cool. Without him, we wouldn't have this weapon, dude. Even though it was all for naught, but it was still kind of cool.
It was kind of funny to see Peter Dinklage in a Marvel movie, but I don't think he was that great.
Small role, but hey, he did his part. It's just cool to have him in the universe, you know?
Yeah. We'll see what... Yeah.
You seem very, about so many things.
One other critique. Well, I mean, I don't think it's a flawless movie. Pretty entertaining movie. One other critique I actually do have of the film is I think a lot of the planets they visit, and this is like throughout a lot of the movies, just they look identical. Yeah. They're not very interesting. The planet that Thor visits with Rocket and Groot doesn't really have any distinct features that differs it from the planet that Gamora, Star-Lord, and Drax and Mantis visit. Aside from color palettes, the one that they visit is kind of orange. A lot of orange colors going on the one they visit. It's like dark blue, and it's just there's nothing interesting about these places they're going to. There's nothing that makes them any different. It's not a big problem because that's not the focus of the movie, but it's just, these people designing this shit.
I wonder if that was like, I don't know, again, it is an adaptation, so they could take liberties, but at the same time, I wonder if like a lot of that just had to do with like how the place looked in the comics, if they were supposed to be that dark and brooding and like just technological and all that. I don't know.
Regardless, it's someone being lazy. Whether it's the
what about Gamora's world in the flashback? That looks pretty.
That was okay. Yeah. That was okay. It didn't look too didn't really.
It reminded me of like some places that you would see in like Star Wars Episode 1. You know.
It did remind me of a Star Wars movie. That scene actually, like completely. I watched it and that scene I like. Just thinking to myself actually specifically during that scene is that if I was like just shown the scene with no context, Star Wars would be my first guess. Until obviously Thanos and Gamora show up, but I think that Marvel, Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars. Obviously they are just getting Star Wars, and they've had Marvel for 10 years now, but I think they did a lot better with Marvel than they did with Star Wars.
Yeah, they're dropping the ball a lot. Kind of a shame. I don't know if it's like... I feel like it's just about who specifically they put in charge. I don't think it's impossible to do a Star Wars movie. Wait, what's the grammar in this one? I don't think...
Probably...
Forgetting right now. But you know what I mean. Like, I feel like it is possible to do a good Star Wars movie in modern day, but even with all the movies we've had, like, I feel like going in the direction of, like, separate, like, again, like, what Rogue One or a Han Solo movie, or like the idea, even though it's like the wrong guy in charge, like the idea of doing a non-Skywalker type trilogy is a good idea. Yeah. But
I think
it's just, wrong people in charge. Yeah.
I'm gonna watch the Solo movie eventually, but I actually, this is a stupid reason to do it, but it's just I'm kind of keeping a tradition up. I'm doing these watch list videos, and I still have to finish part 2 of 2017's, where it's just I review every single movie I watched that year, and obviously they take a while because of that. But 2018's watch list, the first movie I watched was The Last Jedi, so that one's and the first one I watched in 2007 was Rogue One. So every year I'm opening on a Star Wars movie, and I'm kind of interested in checking out Han Solo is my first movie of 2019, just to keep that tradition going. Star Wars, the opening.
You're gonna hold off on it just for that.
I can open each one of the videos saying, "Hey, Star Wars fans, I think all these movies are equal in quality," and that'd be a good way to turn off a lot of people from watching the rest of it.
Well, if they stop making Star Wars movies, you're gonna watch the Christmas Day special or something.
I'll have to go to the prequels at that point. I don't think they're going to stop making Star Wars movies for a long time.
Hmm.
I think the Star Wars universe will out Slate Side. Oh, is there anything else you have to say about this movie?
No, I just really liked it. I remember you gave a score of 7 out of 10. Personally, 8.5 out of 10, just personally. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'd watch it again and again. I'm sure it's going to be on Netflix at some point too. But yeah.
I mean, a 7 out of 10 is good. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was a good movie, and I think that I'll probably check it out sometime again. But
I just think I think in a lot of departments they did really well. Choreography. It felt like Winter Soldier was like very bam bam, and like each hit you felt, and the sound as well. Like again, the movie theater, but like just it felt really great. Felt like you were there. Felt really good.
I think I've rated four movies a 7 out of 10, and then everything else has been lower.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like one of the Iron Man movies. I just flat out hate. I really hate Iron Man 2. I thought it was such a boring movie, but most people dislike Iron Man 2. But like, I think Avengers, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Avengers: Infinity War, and Guardians Volume 2 are like 7 out of 10s for me.
Hmm.
Which I think a big part of it, like a lot of people say the Marvel films destroying film, stop supporting them. It's like they are factory movies. They do lack an individual personality to them, but that's okay. Like they're fun movies to watch.
I feel like this movie and Black Panther at least, like I feel like it's a counter to that mentality, being like listen, yeah, it is what it is, but at the same time, it's not impossible to do it well or anything. Like you can tell an interesting story. You can bring up some great messages across with a superhero movie. Surprisingly, again,
I do think that no matter how you look at it, they're always gonna lack that. Again, that individual's feel to the movie, like because they are movies being made by a lot of people, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I normally prefer movies with like a single person making them, but
I guess does that make us like Thanos? Is that relatable enough? Like we're trying to do something for the right, but like ends up doing something that you may think is wrong. It's all about perspective, man. You know what I mean?
I think you made a stretch there.
From their perspective, seeing as us as their rivals, as the villains, things that they may think is wrong, but we think is right.
I think anyone who acts like you're an idiot. I think anyone who acts like you are an idiot because you like Marvel films and they're geniuses because they watch art house movies are douchebags and dumb. And it's okay to have the opinion that Marvel films are garbage, but it's not okay to say someone is wrong for not saying the same thing.
Way to down to earth that.
I like Marvel movies. I do.
Yeah.
I think that they're entertaining. I think that the cast is mainly what makes them. But I think Infinity War showed a lot to the technical side that I hadn't appreciated in other Marvel films too much. I mean, I appreciate it to like the extent where obviously a lot of people are working really hard, but like this one to me felt just very uniquely shot. Very like this. Just I feel like seeing characters actually interact with Thanos looked really good in this movie.
And I feel like even for like an Avengers movie,
parts where they're holding him down, and I was really convinced they were actually grabbing him.
Yeah, I feel like kudos to them for like doing an Avengers movie that ends in such a way, and throughout a lot of the movie, like, at least like definitely like my tongue is like tongue twisting very much right now, but like especially like the second half to the end, like there's a lot of dark moments, and like it makes you think like a lot of people are taking a lot of risks during this movie, and I'm sure the next one as well. It's just great to see.
Oh yeah. I'll eventually watch Black Panther. I wanted to watch Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, and Doctor Strange before seeing this movie, but they're never something I'm enthusiastic about watching. I normally end up enjoying them fairly. I think really the only Marvel films that I've hated from the ones I've seen has been Age of Ultron and Iron Man 2.
Well, what if I tell you that Black Panther's good? Will you watch it right now? Right now?
I'll watch Black Panther, but I don't know when.
It's a fun movie.
I'll probably watch if it gets put on Netflix soon. I'll probably watch it before Thor Ragnarok or Doctor Strange.
Well, well, before Doctor Strange gets off of Netflix, it's on right now. Just saying.
Will it be taken off of Netflix? Aren't they keeping all the Marvel films on there for now? Are they being taken off at all?
I mean, I'm just saying I don't know when, but Netflix does cycle things out. Might as well.
I feel like they have deals with certain companies. I don't know. I'll look it up. I'll see if they actually do take the Marvel movies off. Because then I will watch Doctor Strange rather soon because I'd rather not.
I'd be surprised if some of them were like on forever on Netflix. It's like cycle things out. But yeah, I'm excited for like the future. I'm excited for like the future Marvel. Like since we're getting near the end of like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth's like their sagas in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like we're gonna lead into other things possibly since they got the rights to X-Men, possibly Fantastic Four, and like they start doing those movies, and like I don't know, it's exciting to see what kind of stories they can pull off afterwards that like yes we'll be in the same universe but they don't have to rely on so much of these other actors, which I know is like possibly a worry for the studio, and I'm sure for like the fans, like how is the general audience going to really take these things seriously if we don't have our man Chris Evans in this one, like, or at least mentoring like, this new hero or whatever. It's like, I don't know.
Eventually they're gonna have to end, aren't they? Like, I can't imagine Disney being willing to let go of something like Marvel. It's such a moneymaker for them, but like,
there's so many characters to do stories off of, and I feel like it can go on for a very long time. But the fact to keep people's attention with brand new stories and brand new characters without having to rely on past things so much, again, like even though it's in the same universe, not relying on so much of the past, I feel like is you'd have to be creative and do it right, and I feel like they could with Disney. I feel like they could, as long as they keep Kevin Feige's still going to be in charge, he said, so I mean that's good news. So I feel like they got a chance.
I'm gonna ask you one more question regarding the Marvel movies, because there's like a movie that is listed in Phase 3, and I have no idea.
Or phase? Phase. Okay.
Phase 3 doesn't end until Avengers 4, but there was something else listed.
I think you mentioned all of them to me. I mean,
there was one more that was listed. Unless
Phase 3 didn't start like until like 2016.
Inhumans, the Inhumans. That's what it was.
I haven't seen Inhumans.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, why aren't the other shows listed then?
I recommend Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. though. That's a good show.
I probably won't watch Marvel shows. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Maybe eventually, but like.
Not a great show, but like once you get like far enough, you're like, oh, it's definitely gotten better. Holy hell! keeps my attention. And it's not even bad. Like it actually does get better. Like season 4, the last season was great. I haven't seen season 5 yet.
I have a lot of shows that I want to watch, and I don't have any interest in like the superhero shows. The movies are big event, so I like those, but I probably won't watch any of the shows. I don't know. Maybe eventually I'll be like with the right people at the right time, and they'll be watching it, and then I'll be watching it with them. I am watching not really a superhero show, but a comic book show right now. But it's one from the 90s called Spawn. I think I mentioned that last episode. And I'm watching that because I'm watching it with Gage, and yeah, Gage wants me to watch it, so I watch it when he's over. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, and I like it for its weirdness, and maybe it will eventually get. The thing is, I think you can, like, the advantage that TV shows for movies is I feel like you can watch so much that even if you're not a big fan of it, you're invested enough to where you'll keep watching. I watched a show called Drawn Together, and I never really liked it that much, but I watched it so much that I just eventually kept watching. The same thing happened with the show George Lopez. That was a horrible TV show, but it was on so frequently around the people I was with that I actually started watching it, like just like on a regular basis.
There's so much you can get all at once. There's so much you can get all at once in each episode, each story for whatever show you watch. Ends a lot earlier than the movie too. So like when you have the attention span of a squirrel, definitely helps a lot better when you can get just media very quickly. And when certain shows do it very well, where each episode might end on a cliffhanger or something, that's very enticing as well. Where as opposed to a movie, again, you have to wait an hour and a half, possibly 2.5 hours for a cliffhanger, and then you might be tired by then. But yeah. The
Show
Office
I
is a
really
great show though. Like some episodes that like
Office is-
there's so many times like I'm just thinking like, oh my god, what's his name and Pam's relationship. Oh, they did a thing at the end of this episode. I want to watch more, see how this goes. Oh
Are
my
you
god.
still on season 1
I'm on
or season 2?
I'm I
Yeah,
think
season 1's like 6 episodes.
yeah. I'm like somewhere in the middle of season 3 right now, or like getting there. But yeah, it's a very fun show. I really like it. A lot of the characters I like, except for, and I know this is just me. I just don't like Ed Helms. I just don't. You know, it's
I
playing
like
true to the
I like
character
Ed
at least,
Helms in a lot of the show. He becomes the worst person in the last season.
Hmm.
His character becomes such a dick for no reason.
He's kind of like like thing with like
In season 3, he has anger management, but he does improve.
with Michael Scott and Dwight. They're awful people, but they have qualities about them that you at least feel for them. So far, they've introduced Ed Helms' character, and like at this point, I'm like feeling like they should have shown at least something to make you care for him, even a little bit. But I just really hate this guy. Like him meeting Dwight was like, oh, finally, I wanted to see these meet, and I was like very excited for that. And then afterwards, it's like they're continuing it, but you feel more for Dwight and not for both of them, and that sucks. And I hate Ed Helms, and it just makes it a lot worse.
I think you'll like Andy a little bit more as the show goes. I'm not a fan of Ed Helms either, but I think The Office is kind of his exception. I really don't like Ed Helms that much.
Yeah.
Like I never really thought about disliking Ed Helms that much. Like you're kind of pointing out now, and I'm trying to think of anything I like him in, and I can't think of anything. That was horrible. That was a horrible.
Oh, those what was it? The Hungover movies too.
The Hangover movies. Yeah, I liked those when I was. First one's pretty okay, but Ed Helms is the worst part of it.
Yeah.
I like his song. I like the song he plays, like the "What Do Tigers Dream Of." That part makes me laugh still, but like everything else is him just bitching for the entire movie. Like.
But yeah.
But yeah, like let me know what you think of Andy as you, because he's kind of a dick in the.
Also, like I noticed, and I hope this isn't true, but it might be, and I'm very sad if it is. But like I noticed, like in the poster thing on Netflix for the show, like with all the characters, I didn't notice Steve Carell over there. Does he like leave
Michael
the show?
Scott leaves at the end of the 7th season. He leaves the show. They do give him a really good send-off episode. Okay.
Yeah,
like he's not nothing. Just like it's. Yeah, I won't. And then you're gonna love this season 8.
Oh, by the way, earlier on, probably a couple minutes ago for anyone watching, if you heard a little ding and a little timestamp on the screen, that means there's Office spoilers. So just because we didn't warn anything about that, Office spoilers. Oh, yeah.
And then season 8, you'll love this.
Don't tell me
Ed
nothing.
Helms takes over as the boss.
I kind of figured. Him or Dwight, I kind of figured. Or Jim. Oh, why you tell me that?
Season 8 and 9 are lower in quality, but they're still good. It's right. Just Steve Carell even does kind of take a hit on the show, but
at least we got 7 seasons of him out of the 8 or 9. So like that's something.
We have this guy who comes in the 8th season, and I like him at first. It feels like they're going with a different pace, like of a character, and I really like it because they do have a character that replaces him. And then just as the season goes on, he just gets like worse and worse, and everyone hated this character. At first, I really didn't see why. I kind of like him at the beginning of the 8th season, but it goes on, and I started to see completely why. He is just like, it was horrible. But it's still good. It's still good. The last 2 seasons are good, but any character added on to the show after season 8 is horrible. I should say after season 7, because it starts in season 8. They just add like these shitty characters to the show that add nothing.
As for like the good parts of the show, like pretty quickly on, like even like it starts to introduce you to some characters, and you start to learn about them, and then there's other characters in the background that you don't really care so much. But like it doesn't take too long for them to give you like at least one scene with the character and 1 or 2 scenes. Like for Creed, I didn't care much about Creed, but his first scene with like him getting fired, that interview, I loved him immediately, and I'm glad he stayed on. Like now he's like such a meme and so great.
Yeah, Creed is just like a small appearance.
He has so many qualities about him that are like so terrible, and it's like, okay, great.
I don't think there's a single episode of the show where he's a main character. He
Yeah.
is just those little
He's just
bits
there.
in every episode.
And
It's
like
great.
even Stanley, like just in general of the show too, like little things like as the first and second seasons went on, like you didn't even need episodes about them. Like little things when they just mentioned like Stanley likes crossword puzzles, or this guy, or like Alan doesn't want to be the guy for anything. Like little things like that, you don't even need to know too much about them. But like little traits is all you really need to like get
Oh yeah.
them to be likable, and it's
The
great.
show the show does take like a lot of emotional tolls as it goes on too. Like a
Yeah.
lot of the heartwarming shit like really increases as it goes on.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say too about this, I like it's the same people who did Parks and Rec. You ever see Parks and Rec?
No, but that's a Chris Pratt.
Also a great show.
Yeah, Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Pratt show.
Also a great show, and is on that too all the
Yeah, I know.
seasons. And I'd say Parks and Rec is the first two seasons a little iffy, but I
Okay.
still think they're good. But it becomes even better than The Office in the later seasons. Like it's great. The first two seasons, it's like almost like it's this what? Okay, it's the same format as The Office. Like the first two seasons, it wasn't really. I like the characters a lot still, but then after that, it like completely delves into it. It has the mockumentary format still, but it like just feels like a completely different show. And even though I like that show better, The Office finale is better than the Parks finale. The Office finale to me is one of the most satisfying conclusions to a TV show I ever saw.
Yeah,
So just like it's like an hour long, and it's just.
I swear to God, if we don't get a spin-off of Mike Vance from Vance Refrigeration, I'm gonna lose it.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
His first scene, by the way, that setup was so good. Mike Vance Refrigeration, and so on and so on. So what kind of work you involved? Like so good, so good. I love
there's
that.
There's been talk of an Office reunion for a while because that show ended, I think, in like 2009.
2012. It's like 2012 on the Netflix thing. I know it started in 2005.
Mixed up.
So.
I think I'm thinking about how many seasons there were.
Maybe.
Or that's 2009. Yeah, sounds right.
But yeah.
The last episode.
I feel like we've had more of a back and forth with the Office talk compared to the Avengers talk. Like Avengers is just like something you enjoy in general, and it's like, you know.
Yeah. I think we also are more agreeable with The Office. So like for the most part, we both liked the movie a lot, but I just think I have like critiques where they.
You have so many weird critiques. It's not that I'm complaining, but it's like why? I don't know.
I don't think they're weird. I think that like disliking a character's arc is a reasonable critique. I think disliking the setting of a bunch of the scenes is a reason.
You talked about before too, like TV shows are better than movies. Like I think one reason we can kind of see clearly here is like TV shows develop characters a lot better too. So you can talk about more.
It has changed. I like movies more than TV shows. But I do think television shows have a huge advantage. I think it's easier to get invested into a TV show because they have a lot more time.
It's easier to get invested in a character in general with a TV show too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love television shows still, but movies, I'm like, as I keep watching more and more of them, it's just I don't know. I keep watching like these weird indie movies, these weird like this stuff I never was watching before because I kept just. I'll be right there, Dad. Great thing to have in this.
I still have to see Isle of Dogs too, by the way.
I like that. Yeah, Isle of Dogs is good because like before, like most of the movies I'd watch, it was just occasionally I'd go to the movie theater once or twice a year with friends. Like 2016, I went to see Deadpool. I went to see Sausage Party, and I think that was it. Because it's like friends were saying, "Hey, we're gonna go see this," because I was really only watching television shows. But then I started actually like paying attention to a lot of the good movies out there, like the opinion. Because I think I even stated on this podcast before that I like TV more than movies. That opinion's changed like drastically, but I still like TV.
I just remembered a movie that's like non-superhero related, by the way, and it's like what's it? I think it's a horror movie technically, like it's like a thriller thing. Like, did you see that trailer of like this one kid, he takes this guy's car and drives to his house and then sees a girl tied up and taken hostage in there. And he's like, oh my god, tells his friend like, oh my god, this girl is trapped in this guy's house. Like stars David Tennant as the villain. I forget what it was called, but like I'm interested in that one. Mainly because of David Tennant is the only reason I'm interested. But like, oh my god, yeah. Just interesting to see him in so many ways.
So we got to wrap this up.
Yes, we do. Your daddy's calling you.
Daddy's calling me. But I will. been fun talking about Marvel and The Office. And we'll just go back to doing some standard episodes next.
The more I watch The Office, the more we'll probably get into more discussions about that. Maybe, maybe not.
Say for 58. God, we probably should do a guest episode next, actually. Then, like, 59 can be standalone. Then 60, we already have our guest lined up for that. We should just find a guest, do 2 more guest episodes this season, but kind of like split the guest, individual guest. And then we'll do season 4.
We'll see.
Or maybe we'll actually do an intro for the finale.
Are you doing it or am I doing it?
I might try to do one. Will depend on time. It'll be during the summer. So when season 2 ended, I was like getting started with college and too much shit going on.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to be done with college for season 3's finale.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Probably Hail Hydra because we're talking about, but if not, then nobody else is watching. Brofest.
Great.